Hello everyone, this is Anna from Savvy Cat Realty, and today I'm here to talk to you about rentals in Portugal and doing a comparison so you understand how different the prices are in each part of the country. So for those of you who don't know, Savvy Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that helps expats move to Portugal in a sustainable lifestyle way. We help you figure out what's the best location for your own personal needs and budget in the whole of continental Portugal, and we work with both rentals and purchases, trying to provide as much information in order for our clients to make informed purchases that are aligned with the local market. So if this makes sense to you, do check out our website in www.savvycatrealty.com. So going into today's topic, which is the rental comparison in Portugal in 2026. So we are now in January 2026, and I am making this video with the data from January rentals. And so today I am going to show you a number of listings that were selected by my agents throughout Portugal and compare you in 3 different budget ranges. So we will have the budget range of 700 to 800 euros, then 1200 to 1500 euros, and then 2000 to 2500 euros. So of course, these get you very different things, and this is also a bit to help you understand what you can get in different parts of the country with these budgets. So I made this chart here with the information gathered from all the different listings I selected. We have about 12 listings per budget range in different locations in Portugal. I started, of course, with the most expensive one, which is our lovely Lisbon. And our lovely Lisbon, we have here an example, and my Lisbon agent struggled a lot with this. It's very, very hard to find properties for rent under 800 euros. So she found one for 150 euros, which is a 31 square meter studio apartment that is furnished and has the energy efficiency of C. We can see here some of the pictures. You can see it's a decent apartment, but a small one. It's kind of a mezzanine style place. And the 850 euros are plus rent, but including furnishings. Plus utilities, but including furnishings. And they require 2 rents and 2 deposits in order for you to rent this place. This place is most likely no longer available, but I'm just using it as an example. It was available in the early of this month, but basically what happens in Lisbon is that the listings basically disappear within a day's notice, like especially these low-cost listings in Lisbon, they are generally pretty much gone within a day. So now going into the next one, we have Porto. I wanted to start with the most demanded places, so that's generally Porto and Lisbon. And in Porto, we have for 750 euros, a 40 square meter studio apartment with B energy certificate and also furnished. So we can already see that it's a significant improvement for Lisbon, and also a lot more central, because the Lisbon one is in Marvila, which is the outskirts of Lisbon, while the Porto one is in Sedufeita, which is central Porto. So we have here the Sedufeita Porto listing, and you can see that is in a refurbished traditional Porto style building. You have here a kitchen. This is probably a recovery. I personally have a pet peeve with putting wood flooring on kitchen and bathroom areas, but this kitchen was very likely added here, and they maintained the original floors, which I would advise to be very, very careful with what you put here. But you can see here that it's a relatively nice apartment. You don't have an elevator. It's just stairs, but it's on the first floor, so it's still very accessible. and not a big issue for stairs. So this one is 750 euros. It says it's furnished, and it has air conditioning, so did the Lisbon one, but the furnishings, as you can see, are very, very basic. They are not even showing here a picture of the bedroom, which is a bit concerning. And yes, this is an example of a 750 euro property in Porto. So then I have a 750 euro property in Braga. And the Braga property, it is a one-bedroom apartment with 74 square meters. So we're talking basically double than the Lisbon and Porto one. They didn't list the energy certificate, but it is also furnished. And you can see it is not a super modern property. And once again, they say 2 rents and 2 deposits. They say no elevator and no animals allowed. This is quite central in Braga. You can see you have tile floorings, you have a bedroom fully furnished, not as modern of a kitchen, but a lot bigger. You have also a living area, so you have a lot more space, a very big bathroom with a bathtub and a garage also included in the price. So obviously you have a lot more space for the same price as the studio apartment in Porto. So next we have here Figueira da Foz. Figueira da Foz is on the coastal line of Coimbra. We have a 92 square meter, 1-bedroom apartment with the energy certification of E and also furnished. And this one we can see also in a renovation of a typical building, and it is on the 2nd floor without elevator, and they say it's only 500 meters from the beach. And you can see here you have the stairs to access the apartment. Once again, a renovation where the kitchen was added with the wooden floors still left. So you have to be very careful with water. You have nice but simple furnishings. And this listing is going for 700 euros and is in Figueira da Foz. Then we have in Aveiro. Aveiro is generally a bit more expensive. It's quite on demand because it's also a fairly technological, and it has a big university, so it's a fairly high demand area. And we have here a studio apartment with 36 square meters for 750 euros. So it actually ends up being very much on par with the Porto one, except it is a bit more modern. And you can see here it's a very nice studio apartment, modernly furnished with a bedroom and the integrated kitchen. So it's a more modern property, also very central in town. So you can see here it's right next to the train station. So you cannot be more central than this. So the next example I have here is down in Alentejo, and Alentejo is generally a very affordable area. So for 700 euros you can get a 44 square meter 2-bedroom apartment with an A energy certification. And we can see here that it's actually, it's not an apartment, it's a moradia. So it's not a detached house, it actually looks like a moradia in banda, which means it shares walls with ones next to it. So you can see this is a small townhouse, fisherman-style townhouse. And it has been fully remodeled on the inside. You have a living room, bathroom, and a little yard and terrace even. So you get quite a bit more for the for this T2 that has also, like I said, a little yard and terrace, and it comes also with furnishings. So next I have an example in Beja. Beja is the capital of Alentejo, but it's also not a very high demand area. And in Beja you can get a 2-bedroom apartment for 800 euros a month. This is not a very modern apartment, but it does have an energy certification of C. And it comes furnished, but once again, very, very simple furnishes. It does also have air conditioning and a bathtub and a bathroom, a back kitchen that is independent, and a decent view of the city. This is also, again, very central, quite close to the train line. And it's an 800 euros 2-bedroom apartment in Beja. Then we have Évora, in which you can, it's actually the highest demand area of Alentejo, where a 1-bedroom apartment will cost you 750 euros. It actually went down. It was listed at 800 euros, has 48 square meters, and once again, 2 rents in advance, and these ones are only asking for 1 deposit. It comes fully furnished, nice furnitures, but not very high-end ones. But once again, this is a 750 euro unit at the center of town. So this is the inside the walls, basically. And then we have the Algarve, which is where basically you will have the most expensive property after Lisbon. And we are currently on the low season, so it's a bit easier to find property in the Algarve. And we have an example here of a 1-bedroom apartment in Portimão, a very small one, so 25 square meters. It's almost just a bedroom, for an energy certification of C. And you can see here it's looks like it's probably usually used for Airbnb, but it is listed as a long-term rental at the moment. Long-term rentals in the Algarve are very hard to find for this reason. You can see that this is a fairly modern apartment, but everything is very tiny and you don't have a lot of space. So this is 700 euros a month in Portimão, which is also not the most highly requested area of the Algarve. And then looking at Faro, which is the capital of the Algarve, but also not the most highly requested, because you actually cannot find things under 800 euros in the most highly requested areas of the Algarve. So that's why they are not here, because they do not exist. So in Faro, you can find for 800 euros with added expenses, a fully furnished and equipped apartment that will only fit a maximum of 2 people. And you can see here, it's a very decent apartment, a 1-bedroom with 50 square meters, nicely modern furniture, and a decent space, as you can see. And everything you may need. This is near the Faro Hospital, so not the most central, but quite central. And then we have here an example in São Martinho do Porto, which is the Silver Coast, and it is a T0 for 650 euros a month in São Martinho do Porto, which is one of the coastal little towns in the Silver Coast above Lisbon. We have an energy certification of D and 30 square meters. And you can see it's quite a decent apartment, a studio apartment, nicely furnished with a kitchen and a full bathroom and a nice view of São Martinho do Porto. So this basically gives you an overview of what you can find in the different areas of Portugal on the budget of 700 to 800 euros per month. So if we move here to the 1200 to 1500 euros per month, let's start once again in Lisbon. And in Lisbon, you can find a 1-bedroom apartment with 55 square meters in Largo do Rato, which is a lot more central than the Marvila, which was the previous option. And it's unfurnished, but fairly modern, as you can see. And this is, as you can see, this area here. So if you look at the map, it is not the most central, but it's still within the main city. So this is 1,200 euros for a 1-bedroom, 55 square meter apartment in Lisbon, but not central Lisbon. So then we have in Porto, central Porto actually, for 1,350 euros, a 70 square meter, 2-bedroom, 2 baths with C energy certification and once again furnished. It's this little townhouse apartment. There's probably just one apartment on the ground floor and one on the first floor. And it's a very pleasant apartment, as you can see, in a nice area, relatively central, not the historic center, but still quite central. And you can see it's a very nice apartment for 1,350 euros a month. The bedrooms are quite small, but still you get a lot more than you do in Lisbon, as you can see. And you did even have a small balcony. So then we have in Braga a 2-bedroom apartment for 1,450 euros, but it has 155 square meters and B- energy certification. So quite a bit more than you would be getting in Porto. So you can see this is a very modern and spacious apartment with everything you need, air conditioning, all kinds of all the appliances you need, and very, very nice decor, a garden, a nice living room. So pretty much a high-end apartment for 1,450 euros per month, with elevator even, and extremely nice finishings. So you can see here what you can get in Braga for this price. Then we have Leiria, in which you can find for 1,200 euros, a 109 square meter, 3-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms and A+ energy certification. So this is obviously a very new build, and you have the highest energy certification, and you can see it's a very modern apartment. No furniture though, but you can see it's a very nice apartment. And it does have AC pre-installed, and it is quite central, and it has a garage too, and it is fairly central. So it's actually it's on the outskirts of the city, but it's still within the main city. For probably here to the main central area, it's probably going to be 10 minutes by driving. So still quite central. So then we have Caldas da Rainha, in which you can find for, here it's slightly above budget, but also to show you what you can get from this. So for 1,550 euros, you get 235 square meter, 4-bedroom, 3 baths apartment with D-class, also unfurnished. And you can take a look at the listing here. It has a nice view of the city, and it is still a very, very nice apartment. The pictures are showing furnished, although the listing says a furnished. This is sometimes a bit confusing, and often you have to ask the actual agency in order to get a final answer on this. And this is also very central. So it's once again close to the hospital, and it's probably about 10 minutes walk to the center of town. So this is what you can get for in Caldas for a 4-bedroom apartment. Then we have Aveiro, in which for 1,500 euros you can find a 190 square meter, 3-bedroom, 2 baths apartment with A energy certification. And we have here unfurnished apartment with in the main avenue. So Avenida Lourenço Peixinho is the main avenue of Aveiro. So super central and highest energy certification, so probably a very recent renovation. Decent areas, a new kitchen here, but you can see it was probably refurbished. It has air conditioning, and it probably also has a garage, but let me double check here. It doesn't say. But either way, you can see that for 1,500, it's a very nice 3-bedroom apartment in the 3rd floor with elevator and unfurnished. Then we have Coimbra, in which you can find a 120 square meter apartment, 3-bedroom apartment for 1,200 euros with 2 bathrooms and C energy certification. This one is furnished. The Aveiro one is actually unfurnished, so that was a typo here. Unfurnished. So in Coimbra, we have a very modern 3-bedroom apartment in a central area. Let me see how central. So, come on. It's not super central, but it's still within the main town. So this probably, once again, it's about 5-10 minutes drive to the central areas. So quite well located nonetheless. And very modern apartment with second floor with elevator with garage included. And you can see here that it's quite modern and well furnished, nice areas, and seems to have everything you need. And even a balcony over there, although it seems to be construction on the other side, which is never a super nice thing. But you can see it's a very nice and modern apartment for 1,200 euros, a 3-bedroom apartment in Coimbra. Then in Évora, you can find a very similar price range. So a 3-bedroom apartment for 1,250 euros, 110 square meters, once again, 3-bedroom, 2 baths, C certification and furnished. So we can see here also very modern, good areas, very well lit apparently, or just the pictures may be better, we never know. So we can see here it's a very nice apartment. Let's see the location. It's very central. So this is probably 10 minutes walking to the walls, although it is outside of the walls. So then we have the Alentejo. So if you go towards other locations in the Alentejo, you can get a whole herdade for 1,400 euros. I'm pretty sure these areas are wrong because look at this. This is a whole herdade with a pool, with big living rooms. Although, like I said, I'm pretty sure there's like a one missing. It says 69 square meters, but it's probably 169 square meters because this is a big herdade with a pool and apparently at least 3 bedrooms. So this is what you can get for 1,400 euros in Alentejo. So Alentejo can give you quite a lot for a buck for the money. And here's another similar example in Odmira, in where you can get, and the other one was kind of in the middle of nowhere, but this one is in a small town in Alentejo, and you can get a villa for 1,400 euros a month. It's a townhouse style villa. And so the location once again makes a lot of difference. Then once we go down to the Algarve, let's start with the capital, in which 1,300 euros can get you 113 2-bedroom, 1-bath, A energy certification apartment, fully furnished, as you can see here. They have a bunch of requests here because as I was saying, it's very hard. There's a lot of demand and not so much offer in the Algarve. So they have a lot of demands for the tenants. And you can see this is a 3rd floor with elevator, 113 square meters B energy certificate. It comes fully furnished, and you can see it's a nice modern apartment with everything you need and very good areas. And let's see the location. The location, it is very central. It is very central in Faro. This is probably less than 10 minutes to, it's still within the walls too. So very, very central. So then we have Portimão, where 1,350, 121 square meter, 2-bedroom, 1-bath B certification apartment. This is near Praia da Rocha, So near the beaches, and once again, it's not very easy. This is probably initially use Airbnb and then pass to long-term rental. You can see here, these kinds of things are mandatory with Airbnb. And this is much more possible in the low season. The seasonality of the Algarve highly affects the rents. So do keep that in mind when looking. But yes, this is very central near Praia da Rocha. And then we have an example in Tavira for a 2-bedroom apartment for 1,200 euros with 85 square meter, 2-bedroom, 2 baths with BA energy certification, very modern, very nicely furnished, and very, very beautiful view. As you can see, you can walk to the ocean. This is on the outskirts of Tavira. This is actually not Tavira. This is Lagos, Praia de Luz in Lagos, which is one of the most highly demanded areas of the Algarve. So I don't know why, because the location within Lagos is called Tavira, but this is Lagos, not Tavira. Okay, there we go. And then finally, our last price range of 2,000 to 2,500 euros. You can see that in Lisbon, 2,400 euros will get you a 65 square meter, 2-bedroom, 2 baths, C energy certification property. Oh, and it was active like half an hour, 1 hour ago, but it was a nice medium property, and obviously it's gone now, but like I said, that's the typical thing in Lisbon. Then we have the Porto Center, where 2,500 euros can get you a 155 square meter, 3-bedroom, 3 baths, B energy certification, and it says unfurnished. The pictures say furnished, but then the listings say unfurnished, so I'm not 100% sure which one is it, but it is a very nice apartment, as you can see, very modern, with very good finishings, terrace, and a nice view in a very central part of town, like good areas, good light, garage, and it is very central. So you can see it is right there, which is Constituição. And then we have Braga, in which 2,250 euros can get you a 324 square meters, 6 bedrooms, 3 baths, unfurnished house, a huge unfurnished house. Once again, this is one of those cases where the listing says unfurnished, but then, oh no, this actually shows furnished. So it's a huge villa with a nice garden, a garage, and everything you need. Very, very modern. As you can see, it is huge. So 6 bedrooms, 3 baths or 4 baths, and it is in the Limere of town. So it's still within town, but it's very much on the Limere of town. So that's generally where the villa areas are. So center of town is there, and this is here. So huge property. Then we have Óbidos, in which you can find a 2-bedroom for 2,050 euros, 171, 2-bedroom, 3 baths. So it's a huge 2-bedroom. And Óbidos is actually a location with a fairly high demand, as it is also a fairly touristic location. So you can see here it's also a very nice apartment with good finishings and a garage and a pool. So you even have a pool here. And it is also one of those cases where it says unfurnished in the listing, but then it implies that it's furnished on the description. But either way, it is a really, really nice property. Then we have Nazaré, which is another very high demand location in the Silver Coast, in which 2,100 euros can get you a 3-bedroom in one of the main avenues. Let's once again be reminded that this is kind of the low season, which does affect prices a bit in this kind of locations. This is a very nice property with sea view and very nice furniture and finishings. quite a modern one. It seems to be very, very comfortable. So 2,100 euros a month, 181, one 3-bedroom on the first floor with garage included. So it's a very nice property. So then we have here, we're going to Alentejo, and this is an example of basically you can get a whole herdade. This is basically an herdade for 2,500 euros, a very well renovated herdade. That basically you get the whole property. This is also a bit in the middle of nowhere, but it's a beautiful property with 220 square meters, a 4-bedroom apartment in the middle of Alentejo. Then on the high demand city of Alentejo, Aveiro, we have here a modern 2-bedroom apartments for 1,950 euros per month. B energy certification, 203 square meters of usable area. And a very modern decor, very well finished. This is a recovery probably of property, as you can see here, by the ceilings and windows with very nice historical details. So a very, very beautiful property. It even has a little inside pool, as you can see. And you do need it in the Alentejo, where the prices often goes to 40 square meters. And this is also very central, probably within the walls. They don't show you exactly, but it's basically right in the center of Évora. So then we have Faro. So in Faro, 2,300 euros can get you 146 square meter, 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with A certification. And once again, very modern apartment in a central area. With an ensuite bathroom. It has pool. It's on the first floor with elevator, and you can see here relatively modern, seems to be very well furnished, and very spacious with a balcony, and it says also garage included. So then we have another property in Faro, a 2-bedroom for just 100 euros more, probably less central. In Lagos, once again, one of the most highly demanded areas of the Algarve. You get a 2-bedroom for 2,250 euros, 122 square meters, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and B energy certification. So this is once again very affected by seasonality. If you look for the same thing in August of June, it will not be there or not cost the same. If you're looking for a rental in the Algarve, this is the best season to do that. So the first 3-4 months of the year. After that, seasonality kicks in, and most of the properties are for holiday rental, and there's very, very little offer for long-term rentals. Even on the low season, there's not a huge amount of offer, but you can still find some really nice properties like this ones. And then once again, another example of herdades that you can get for very, very low prices in the middle of Alentejo. So we are talking here 130 with a huge area of terreno, so with a huge plot, air conditioning, pool, garden, sea energy certification. It's basically an herdade. You get a whole herdade for 1,800 euros per month, and you get everything you may want here in the middle of Alentejo, with a very quiet and probably kind of isolated area. So these are the examples I have for you in Portugal in these 3 price ranges. This is another herdade in Alentejo. So in Alentejo you can get these huge things for 1,800 euros, full properties with bathroom, huge plots, and everything you need, as you can see, even a jacuzzi tub. So basically, the prices, as you can see, are very, very different depending on location. So they can go from 31 square meters in the outskirts of Lisbon for a studio apartment, and then you have 92 square meters in Figueira for a lower price, and 90 square meters in Braga get you a T2 for the same price. Then in this second price range, so Lisbon gets 55 square meters, 1 bedroom, 1 bath in Lisbon, but not super central Lisbon. And then in Caldas da Rainha, you get a 4-bedroom, 235 square meter. There's a bunch of options of T3 in different locations, so you can see the prices are very, very different depending on location. And same thing on this price range, where in Alentejo you get full herdades with 5, 4, sometimes 6 bedrooms in Braga, full villas with pools, with everything, while in Lisbon you get a very small 2-bedroom, 2 baths unfurnished. So I hope that this was helpful to give you a good understanding on how different the prices can be in Portugal on the rentals. I already extended myself quite a bit longer than I thought, as I selected a lot of properties, but I hope that this was helpful. And once again, we are here every week with information about Portugal, the different locations and things that are happening in Portugal. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you are looking to rent or buy in Portugal, do reach out to us in www.savvycatrealty.com or contact us directly at contact.savvycatrealty.com. And I hope to see you all next week. Bye!